What's good, my people? It's your boy Godfrey here at Sober Take Boxing, and today we're going to be talking about the fight in a couple of weeks, Moses Itauma against Dillian Whyte. Fight, I think it's a really good fight. I wasn't actually expecting that fight, to be honest. It was quite of a surprise to me when I saw Dillian Whyte be put forward against Moses Itauma. My first thought was, oh, this is a difficult fight for Dillian Whyte just because he hasn't been very active at all. I think in the last 3 years he's fought more or less very rarely, and I would say, to be honest, he hasn't fought competitively for the last 3 years. I think he did fight Ebenezer Tete against last year, who fought Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois got him out in a couple of rounds, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think Fraser Clark got him out in the first round as well. So Dillian Whyte, I think, got him out of there in 7 rounds, but didn't look so good at all. But look, I think he was going through a lot at the time, so you can't just judge him based upon that fight. And I think boxing in general, a lot of the fans, I think, are judging him based upon his fight against Ebenezer Tete. And he was going through a lot then. There was a lot of allegations at the time as well. I think he's had the fight against Anthony Joshua. Well, he didn't have the fight, but he was going to fight Anthony Joshua. But, that didn't materialize. And yeah, was going through a lot then. So yeah, I think, from what I've seen, I've looked at a lot of the videos. I've seen Ade Oladipo with G-Man. Big up those guys. And yeah, I've seen their predictions, more or less looking at Moses beating him, probably knocking him out, probably within the first 6. I think I've seen their videos on it. I think they think it's actually good matchmaking rather than dangerous matchmaking, and I can understand that. And for me, I think, I'm a massive fan of Dillian Whyte. I have been for years, actually. I think he was probably known as the boogeyman back in the day. He was doing, he's fought the like of Oscar Rivas, Joseph Parker, that great knockout, a compilation he had against Lucas Brown. Fought Derek Chisora, War Chisora. Derek is a hard guy to fight against, very rough and rugged. But personally, I think when you look at the fight, I actually believe that the pressure is actually more on Moses than it's on Dillian Whyte, because I think Dillian Whyte now doesn't really have anything to lose. I think people think he's going to lose anyway. So I don't think he actually has a lot of pressure. If he loses, people would say, well, we expected that. He was on his way out. He's a lot older now. He's had a lot of inactivity. So I don't think he's actually going to feel the pressure to perform. I think, if anything, if the pressure he has is probably the pressure he's put on himself to perform, and maybe those that he's close to. That's probably the only pressure that I think he really has. But apart from, when you're talking about public pressure, I don't think he's got a lot of public pressure, just because I think people are just writing him off anyway. So he's just going to be like, well, I'm going to go in there, do what I'm going to do. And him knowing his Jamaican himself, I think what he's really thinking in the back of his mind is, I ain't letting no kid beat me. And I think that's the Jamaican in him. He's just like, I don't think he's even looking at the fight from a logical perspective, in the sense that he's been inactive. He hasn't really had, he hasn't fought competitively for the last 3 years. He's not looking at it from a logical perspective. He's not even looking at it from, I think he's just thinking that, from a Jamaican type of perspective, you know what, I'm not letting no kid beat me. I think that's the mindset of Dillian Whyte right now. I think he's going in there and he's thinking, nah, it ain't happening. And not in a sense, and I don't think it's because Dillian Whyte is writing him off. I don't think that's. I think it's far from it. I think Dillian Whyte is taking this fight very seriously. From certain videos I've seen, he looks in really good shape. So I think he's really actually up for this fight. Now, for Moses, reason why I think it's, you could say, too soon. is I do believe in the beginning they believed it's good matchmaking because it's like getting Dillian Whyte at the right time. He's aging. He's 37 now, I believe, Dillian, and he's not fought competitively for the last 3 years. He's slowing down, of course, as he's getting older, and yeah, at some point it's going to be father's time, right? So I think they probably believe that they're getting him at the right time, and as well, he's vulnerable. Let's be honest. Dillian Whyte is very vulnerable. He has weaknesses. Everybody talks about the uppercut, and I think everybody thinks, oh, he's gonna get hit by the uppercut. So look, you can imagine Moses is very quick, very sharp, and let's be honest. For me, when I look at Moses, he's almost too perfect. I think he's looked just flawless against every single opponent he's faced. He's looked really, really good. Like, he's almost artistic. If you're looking for the perfect boxer that's come out in the last 5-10 years, and you think, okay, this might be the new, you can call it the new Lionel Messi in boxing, you probably say it's Moses. He's very artistic, very pleasing to the eye in terms of how he fights, and I think that's probably why everybody is writing Dillian Whyte off, because they think, okay, well, he's been able to go into fights. Moses, he's got rid of his opponents in the first round, some 2 rounds. I think it's only out of 12 of his opponents, out of, I think 10, is it 10? Yeah, out of 10 fights I think he's had, or 12 fights. There's only 2 of his opponents that's gone the distance, which means that he's been knocking his fighters out fairly quickly, and some of them I don't think has gone beyond 2 rounds. I think all of them has not gone beyond 2 rounds except those 2 fights he's had that's gone the distance, which means, and that should show you actually that even though I've watched some of those fights back as well, and I can see some of those guys just put a little bit of pressure on him, and it took him to distance. 6 rounds, of course. It wasn't like a 10-round fight, so you never know. Maybe if it was a 10-round fight, he would have knocked him out. But it just shows you that he wasn't able to knock out all of his opponents, right? So for me, the question is, he hasn't gone to 12 rounds before. He has not even gone past 6 rounds. And this is going to be the most competitive fight he's going to be in. And I think sometimes when you've never lost, right, your mindset is, I will never lose anyway. And you think no one's going to beat me anyway. Because I've seen some of his interviews. I think I've seen that he believes he can win a world title right now. They want to throw him in with Usyk right now. So this is what I mean. Like, experience is literally out of the equation. He's not even thinking of building up. He's thinking, you know what, I've probably had really good spars against really good heavyweights. I'm ready right now. But you have to remember, in his amateur career, he's had 24 fights. He's been undefeated. He's won everything at youth level. So to him, he's like, well, what's the point? He actually jumped and became a professional boxer sooner rather than later, just because he was, I would believe, probably just dominating amateur, and probably thought, there's no point, why spend so much time in amateurs, let's go straight into the pro rankings. And I think that's what he's done. He's become a professional boxer. He's done really well for himself. But you have to ask the question though, like, there's a lot of, we don't know. We don't know what his chin is like. We don't know what his gas tank is even really like. We don't know. And the same thing in the amateurs, you're not really going to have your gas tank tested, because I believe there's only a 3-round fight. In the pro fights, you know, you're going to 10-12 rounds, and now he needs to adapt to going those 12 rounds with somebody that has been 12 rounds several times. So for me, I think Dillian Whyte isn't going in there to test his skill. I don't think it's going to be a chest fight. I think he's actually going in there to test his will, because He's 20. People have to remember you're 20 years old. So for me, I think Dillian Whyte is going to push him back, make it dirty as he wants to make it. And I think, look, I'm not making a prediction right now, but I think if I had to compare how this fight could go, it could potentially go like the fight, like I believe Lomachenko's second fight for a world title against Orlando Salido, right? And he lost that fight. And you go and watch that fight. Go and watch Lomachenko against Orlando Salido, and just compare the two fighters. How Lomachenko is very, very technical, very artistic, amazing fighter. Had over about 400 amateur fights at the time. So in the second fight, he went straight for a world title, and Orlando Salido literally was just making it rugged, body punches. And yeah, he lost. Lomachenko lost that fight, and it could go that way. It could go that way because even at that time, Lomachenko was about 26 years old. He was very young. Now, the same goes with Moses. He's 20 years old, fighting a veteran, and you got to ask the question: can he get Dillian Whyte out of there? And it's easy to say, yeah, he's gonna knock him out uppercut. Yeah, of course, man. In heavyweight, anybody can get knocked out, right? Anyone can get knocked out. But can you cheat experience? Can you go beyond experience? And don't get me wrong, I think you can't cheat activity as well. So I do think that some of the weaknesses Dillian Whyte does have in this fight is the fact that he hasn't fought in a very long time. And I think, you're probably going to see that, ring rust with Dillian Whyte because he hasn't fought in a long time. So that's something that he needs to understand, that look, you're gonna go in there and make probably more mistakes than you would have if he was active. But yeah, I just can't understand why maybe Moses didn't go for someone like David Adelaide or someone like a stepping stone, Fabio Wardley maybe. A good domestic matchup. Test yourself there first. And I get it. Dillian Whyte hasn't been active, and it's probably why they actually selected him. So I can understand why they've gone for him as well at the time. But is it going to really... Can it be a banana skin? That's the thing. Was there a reason to jump in a fight with Dillian Whyte as early as he is now? And I think that's the difficulty for me. It's like, I don't think he needed to go into a fight with Dillian Whyte as early as he is now, and I can understand why they've made it, but I think they've just probably awakened a wounded lion, and a wounded lion is still a lion, personally. And does Dillian Whyte need to be 100% to beat Moses Itauma? I think he can actually. I think it's a difficult fight for Moses if Dillian Whyte is 80%, to be honest with you, just because he might be able to beat him on just pure experience, honestly, because it's a 12-round fight. Styles make fights. People need to remember that. Styles make fights, guys. The way Dillian Whyte fights is very... I don't think it's a helpful fight for Moses, personally, in terms of styles, because he could literally just make things rugged, dirty, make him really frustrated in the way he's fighting, right? I think if he was going to fight a high level fighter like Dillian Whyte, find someone that's more technical, that can turn it into more of a chess match. Because I think that suits Moses. I think Moses wants to be able to pick his punches and, make it more of a chess-like fight. Whereas, if you make things very rugged, and I think Dillian Whyte is the wrong guy to do that with, personally, because he's not going to, he's going to try and take things away from you, right? And the way he does that is he's going to try and bully you. He's going to be the bully in that fight. So that's why I think the fight could go wrong. Again, this is not a prediction, so I'm not making my prediction right now. I'm just giving my thoughts on the fight. And yeah, of course, it could go wrong for Dillian Whyte as well, because he's been inactive, and like one punch, that's all it takes at the end of the day. So it can go either way. But personally, I think the pressure is on Moses Itauma. But anyway, let me know your thoughts below. Let me know, guys, what you think. I will pop out another video in the next week or so, and hopefully get my prediction out. I am currently, not sure where I'm leaning towards at the moment. I'm not giving my prediction just yet. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope to see you guys soon. Peace. Boom.